Good morning, students. Today we are going to study a new chapter called as sound. How do you come to know that the period is over in your school? By a sound. You come to know easily that somebody is at a door is knocking when he knocks. You can hear the sound of the doorbell. Most of the time, you can make out that someone is approaching you just by hearing the footsteps. But I played a game called hide and seek. In this game a person is blindfolded and has to catch the remaining players. How is the blindfolded person able to guess which player is closest to her? Sound plays an important role in our lives. It helps us to communicate with each other. We hear variety of sounds in our surroundings. We'll make a list later. In the music room of your school, you hear sounds produced by musical instruments like flute, tabla, harmonium. How is sound produced? How does it travel from place to place? How do we hear sound? Why are some sounds louder than others? We shall discuss such questions in the. How is sound produced? Sound is produced by a vibrating body. Sound is produced by a vibrating body. Touch the school bell when not in use. What do you feel? Again touch it when producing sound. We'll clearly know that when it is producing sound, the school bell will be vibrating. The bell will be vibrating. As you learnt in class 7, to and fro motion of an object is called as a vibration. When a tightly stretched rubber band is plucked, it vibrates and produces sound. When it stops vibrating, it does not produce sound. So the to and fro movement of a object is called as vibration. When a tightly stretched rubber band is plucked, it vibrates and produces sound. When it stops vibrating, it does not produce any sound. Sound is produced by vibration. We see that a vibrating object produces sound. In some cases, the vibrations are easily visible to us, but in most cases, their amplitude is too small that we cannot see them. However, we can feel them. We see that the vibrating object produces sound. In some cases, the vibrations are easily visible to us, but in most cases, their amplitude is so small that we cannot see them. However, we can feel them. Vibrating object produces sound. In some cases, vibrations are easily visible to us, but in most cases, their amplitude is so small that we cannot see them. However, we can feel them. We can make a list of some musical instruments which we have seen around, and then you might have seen manjira, ghatam, noot, kartal. These musical instruments are commonly used in many parts of our country. These instruments are simply beaten or struck to produce sound. We can also make a musical instrument. We will discuss about the sound produced by human beings. We'll discuss about sound produced by human beings. Speak loudly for a while and sing a song, or buzz like a bee. Zzz. Speak loudly. Put your hand on the throat as shown in the figure. In humans, the sound is produced by the voice box or the larynx. Put your fingers on the throat and find a hard bump that seems to move when you swallow. This part of the body is known as the voice box. It is the upper end of the windpipe. Two vocal cords are stretched across the voice box or larynx in such a way that it leaves a narrow slit between them for the passage of air. When the lungs force air through the slit, the vocal cords vibrate, producing sound. Muscles attached to the vocal cords can make cords light or tight or loose. When the vocal cords are tight and thin, the type or quality of the voice is different from that when they are loose and thick. Next, we will learn. This is the diagram of a larynx, two vocal cords, and a voice box. This is the place where we have voice box. You can see the diagram. Next, sound needs a medium for propagation. When you call your friend who is standing at a distance, your friend is able to hear your voice. How does the sound propagate and travel to her? Very easy. Can you think of an explanation? Is this possible? Decreasing amount of air in the tumbler had something to do with the loudness of the ring? Yes, sound propagates through air, solid, liquid, and anything. Sound needs a medium for propagation or movement. That's why if the air is less, then the loudness also will be less. Indeed, you had been able to suck all the air in the tumbler, you will not listen to any sound. Actually, sound needs a medium to travel. When air has been completely removed from a vessel, it is said to that there is a vacuum. The sound cannot travel through vacuum. Does sound travel in liquids? Yes, children. Sound travels through liquids also. Sound travels through solids also. Sound travels through solid, liquid, and gases also. You can also perform the above activity by playing your ear at one end and metallic table, asking your friend to gently scratch the other end of the table. You can also hear the sound of train coming when putting your ear to railway tracks. You can hear the train coming. The sound can travel through wood and metal. In fact, sound can travel through any solid. You can perform interesting activities to show that sound can also travel through strings. Ever seen a toy or telephone? We have learned so far that vibrating objects produce sound and is carried in all directions in a medium. The medium could be gas, liquid, or a solid. How do we hear it? The shape of the outer part of the ear is like a funnel. When sound enters it, it travels down a canal at the end where there is a thin stretched membrane. It is called as eardrum. It performs an important function. What does the eardrum do? Eardrum vibrates and transfers the vibration to the next part. The eardrum is like a stretched rubber sheet. The sound vibrations make the eardrum vibrate. The eardrum sends vibration to the inner ear. From there, the signal goes to the brain. That is how we hear. The vibration are transferred from the eardrum. You have already learnt in the earlier classes about the oscillatory motion and the time period. The number of oscillations per second is called. Today we'll learn about amplitude, time period, and frequency of vibration. We have learned that to and from motion of an object is called vibration. This motion is also called as oscillatory motion. We have already learned in earlier class about the oscillatory motion. The number of oscillations per second is called frequency oscillation. Frequency is expressed in hertz. The symbol is hertz, Hz. A frequency of where is 1 oscillation per second. If an object oscillates 20 times in 1 second, what would be the frequency? The frequency would be 20. You can recognize many familiar sounds without seeing the objects or producing them. These sounds must be different to enable you to recognize them. Ever thought of what factors make them different? Amplitude and frequency are two important properties of any sound. The loudness of a sound depends upon its amplitude. When the amplitude of the vibration is large, the sound produced is loud. When the amplitude is small, the sound produced is feeble. Compare the sound of a baby with that of an adult. Is there any difference? These sounds are equally loud. They differ in some way. Let us observe. The frequency determines the shrillness or a pitch of a sound. The frequency of vibration is higher. We say the sound is shrilled. That's a higher pitch. If the frequency of vibration is lower, sound has a lower pitch. For example, a drum vibrates with a low frequency. Therefore, it produces a low pitch. On the other hand, a whistle has high frequency and therefore produces sound of higher pitch. A bird makes high pitched sound, whereas a lion makes low pitched roar. However, roar of a lion is very loud while the sound of the bird is quite feeble. Every day we hear voices of children. We know that we need a vibrating body for the production of sound. Can we hear the sound of vibrating bodies? Can we hear the sound of vibrating bodies? The fact is that sounds of frequency less than 20 vibrations per second cannot be detected by the human ear. Such sounds are inaudible. On the higher side, sounds of frequencies higher about 20,000 vibrations per second, 20 kilohertz, are also not audible to the human ear. Thus, for human ear, the range of audible frequencies is 20 to 20,000 hertz. 20 to 20,000 hertz. Noise and music. We hear different types of sounds around us. The sound always pleasing? Does a sound sometimes cause discomfort to you? Some sounds are pleasant to hear, where some are not. Suppose construction work is going on in your neighborhood. Are the sounds coming from the construction site pleasing? Do you enjoy the sounds produced by horns and buses or trucks? Such unpleasant sounds are called as noise. In a classroom, all the students speak together, what the sound produced could be called noise. On the other hand, we enjoy sounds from musical instruments. It's pleasing to hear. Sound produced by harmonium is a musical sound. String of a sitar will give musical sound, but if musical sound becomes too loud, melodious. Noise pollution. You already know that air pollution is the presence of unwanted gas and particles in the air. The presence and excessive unwanted sounds excessive unwanted sounds in the environment is called noise pollution. We'll tell some source of noise pollution are sounds of vehicles, explosions, bursting of crackers, machines, loudspeakers, TV, transistors at high volume, some kitchen appliances, desert coolers, air conditioners all contribute to noise pollution. Noise pollution. What will happen if because of noise pollution? Do you know that the presence of excessive noise in the surroundings may cause many health related problems? Noise pollution can cause lack of sleep, hypertension, anxiety and many more health disorders may be caused by noise pollution. A person who is exposed to a loud sound may get temporary, even permanent impairment of hearing. What we should do to control noise pollution? To control noise, we must control the source of noise. How this can be achieved? Silencing devices must be installed in aircraft engines, transport vehicles and industrial machines and home appliances. All noisy operation must be conducted away from any residential area. Noise producing industries should be set up away from such areas. Use of automobile horns should be minimized. TV and music system should be run at low volumes. Trees must be planted along the roads and around the buildings to cut down the sounds reaching the residents, thus reducing the harmful effects of the sound. Today we'll try and highlight all the important points. Sound is produced by vibrating bodies. When a body vibrates, we get sound. When a body vibrates, there will be high pitch sound and low pitch sound also. Sound needs a medium like air, water or solid, air, water or any solid to propagate. Sound needs a medium for propagation. Sound is produced by a vibrating body. Without air, sound cannot travel. There are many factors of ears. How do we hear? We hear air because of a special membrane called eardrum inside our ear, which transfers vibration to the inner part of ear from there to. That's why we can hear. And frequency is number of oscillations per second. Frequency is number of oscillations per second. Frequency is number of oscillations per second. If sound becomes too loud, here we call it as noise. Becomes too, we will call it as a noise. Becomes too much. The loudness of voice depends upon its amplitude. When the amplitude is vibration is large, the sound produced is loud. The amplitude is small, the sound produced is feeble. And the frequency determines the shrillness or pitch of a sound. The frequency of the sound is higher, we say the sound is shrill and has a higher pitch. The frequency of vibration is lower, we say that the sound has a lower pitch. For example, a drum vibrates with lower frequency, therefore it produces low pitch sound. On the other hand, a whistle has high frequency, therefore produces sound of higher pitch. Pitch frequency may depend ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Noise pollutions may cause BP, sleeplessness, damage the hearing capacity, all those things it may cause.